Hello everyone and welcome to the F1 Corner. This is probably the hottest topic at the moment. Who will be Max Verstappen's teammate in 2021? There have been talks of Alex Albon, Sergio Perez, Nico Hülkenberg. We thought maybe Pierre Gasly would have a chance before being re-signed for AlphaTauri. And Daniel Kvyat maybe, who knows? We are here today to talk about the various possibilities, and I will tell you who I think should be or will be Verstappen's teammate next year. Before we start, remember to hit the like button and to subscribe to this channel. First, let's just look at the basic facts from the last season and a half-ish. So, 2019, Pierre Gasly starts as Max Verstappen teammate after an amazing season at AlphaTauri, which was Toro Rosso at the time. Midway through the season, unsatisfied with Gasly's result at Red Bull, they replace him with Alex Albon, who just came into Toro Rosso and only have about 12 or 13 race experience, but is still delivering very strong result and beating Daniel Kvyat. So they make the switch from Gasly, who had poor results, to Albon, who had good results at Toro Rosso, and from that point on Red Bull said that they would evaluate whether they would put Gasly or Albon for 2020. Alex had good results, almost a podium in Brazil, was relatively close to Max Verstappen for what was left of this season. So Red Bull, satisfied, decided to keep Albon for 2020. And now we are in 2020. We expect Alex Albon to challenge Max Verstappen, or if not, at least be a good second Red Bull driver, able to deliver, at the moment they're the second best car, so able to deliver a fourth place for sure, to keep the fight with the Mercedes, to be able to just be behind Verstappen so that if they have to fight with the Mercedes, they will be able to rely on their second driver to put a bit of pressure on the Silver Arrows. But so far it's been a disappointing season for the Thai driver. Beginning of the season, we were not asking too much of him. He was still learning the Red Bull ropes. So it was to be expected that he would fall a bit behind Verstappen. So no big deal. But as the season progresses, and at this point where we are now, over a year and a half after being promoted to Red Bull, Alex Albon still fails to deliver consistent, good result compared to Max Verstappen. Only to look at the statistics from this season. Overall, in quali, Alex Albon qualified somewhere in between 7 and 8 on average, while Verstappen have an average of third place in quali, third to fourth, depending on which race. During the race, average finish for Alex Albon, 8th to 9th place since the beginning of the season. This is not a lot of points to bring home when you finish 8th or 9th. And Max Verstappen, well, average, second and third, meaning that this car has the power to finish high in the ranks, and Albon fails to be there. Looking at the points, total points ranked by both drivers, you would expect Verstappen to be in front, even if Albon was competitive with him, which is fair. But after 13 races, yes, 13, I'm right. Albon got 64 points, Verstappen 162. That's almost 3 times as much. And in there, Verstappen has 4 DNFs this season, 4 races where he did not finish, and yet he got 162 points, which is quite a lot more than Alex Albon when you look at it. And Albon only 1 DNF, and you know, there's no excuses there. If we were looking at the current point system, and you know, let's just round up the numbers. Let's say Verstappen is 3rd all the time, and Albon is 4th all the time, if that was to happen. So we'll say 15 points for 3rd place. So that's 15 times 13. Yeah, that's somewhere around over 176 times 15, 75, 150. Yeah, that's 165, I believe. Sorry if I'm bad at math, but 165. And Albon, should he have finished 4th in all races so far, he should have 130 points. That's more than twice what he's got so far this season. So now we have to wonder, is the Red Bull team too much pressure for him? Is he as good of a driver as we make him to be? Or is there something else? Is he just not the young talent that we hoped he would be? And it is a tricky question to answer, because we know that car is built pretty much around Max Verstappen. And now comes the question, who should we put in that car next year? Is there someone that can challenge Verstappen, or that can be a good second driver for Red Bull? So here are the various options that have been and are still considered up to this point. Let's start with the has-been, Pierre Gasly. He's not coming back to Red Bull. He's been confirmed to AlphaTauri already for next year. Why? Let's explore this idea. Why not bring Gasly, who's having a tremendous, an amazing season at AlphaTauri, with even a victory in Monza earlier this year, and a podium also earlier this season. So why? So I think the reason here is that if that car, the Red Bull, is really built around Max Verstappen, well, if they bring back Gasly and Gasly underperforms once again, people will start to ask questions. Why is that? How is that possible if he's so good at AlphaTauri? So it's possible that the Red Bull family fears bringing back Gasly, thinking that, yeah, maybe this will be a bad move if he cannot perform again. So they keep him at AlphaTauri, and we'll see at the end of 2021, if there's no openings at Red Bull, he might very well go look elsewhere. Other candidates, well, we just talked about Albon. If they cannot reach a deal with anyone else, this is probably the guy they will keep. But remember that he's also a guy that was dropped at some point by the Red Bull family. He got brought back because they had no other drivers to put in the car to replace Brendan Hartley after 2018. So he's a bit of an outsider, even though he's delivered. And now the two big names that everyone want to know what will happen to them next year. Let's start with Nico Hülkenberg. Hülkenberg has participated to 3 race weekend this season, twice to replace Sergio Perez and once to replace Lance Stroll, where both drivers fell ill of this disease that is currently plaguing the world that YouTubers cannot name. So Hülkenberg comes back. First race does not even start because of engine issues, but great result during the second race at Silverstone, and great result in Germany, finishing in the points, and he's currently ranked higher than some drivers in the World Championship, showing that he can drive, he can just stand out and get in that car and give a solid result with close to no experience. He was a driver on the grid up until last year and did not sign for this year, got replaced by Esteban Ocon at Renault. So should he be a candidate? Yes, in all fairness, I think Hülkenberg is a good driver, but where he failed to deliver is that he's got the not so glorious record of being the Formula One driver that started the most races without having a single podium. And this is where I think it will be decided with the other drivers that they have to take. Hülkenberg is good, cannot deliver a podium, even in the same car as other drivers did, such as Daniel Ricciardo, who got 2 podiums so far this year. But let's be fair, last year was not a good year for Renault. And with Force India, when he was teammate with Sergio Perez, he could not get on the podium. Which brings me to my last candidate, and the guy I think should be Verstappen's teammate for next year, Sergio Perez. Like and subscribe, and let's go to those statistics. So Sergio Perez, why I think he should be driver at Red Bull next year? Well, first, he's got no contract for next year. He's getting replaced by Sebastian Vettel at the to-be Aston Martin team. So he's an open gun. He can go anywhere he wants if he gets a contract. And Perez is one of those drivers that never was in a good team. Never. He had a chance one year at McLaren, but it was a year where the team was kind of struggling, so it's not that much of a comparison. It was also only his third year in F1, so not a lot of experience. But here we can argue Albon only has a year and a half, so we keep that idea open. But Perez, with Sauber, with Force India, which is Racing Point nowadays, has managed to score 8 Formula One podiums, which shows that he is able to be consistent and to drive that car in a way that he can just bring the best out of it. Maybe not a car that suits him, but a car but he's able to adapt and just make the best out of that Formula One. That's on the podium 8 times. Looking at the statistics this season, Racing Point have a car that is not yet fighting with the Red Bulls, but is pretty close at some points. And looking at the results for this season, Perez versus Albon. Well, Albon qualified average 7-8. Well, Perez is a little bit better. Well, we can say pretty much the same, 7th, but averaging better than Alex Albon for this season. And during the race, where Alex finished around 8-9 every races on average, again, Sergio Perez is about 6th and 7th, so that's 2 positions in front of Albon overall. In the driver standing, Albon leads 64 points versus Perez, who only had 54, but 56. Yes, I could be wrong, but behind. And Perez missed 2 races in there because of he got sick. So add those 2 races, possibly 1 in the points at least. It means that Sergio Perez would probably be in front of Albon in the standings. But that statistics are only statistics. What about, the guys themselves? Well, Perez is still quite young. He's not 30 years old yet, so he's still got quite a few years in Formula One if he wants to. He's proven multiple times that he can make the best out of a car that is not suited to be classified high in the points, with his 8 podium, almost 9 in Imola. And when you look at it overall, if they want someone that can probably challenge Verstappen for next season, they need to go for someone else if Albon does not start delivering right now. He's probably got tremendous pressure after his spin at Imola, after being lapped by Verstappen in Portugal. It's just really, really tough, and I understand that. But so far this season, Albon never qualified in front of Verstappen, not even once this season. As for Perez, even if you don't look only at this season, overall he usually is able to bring the challenge to his teammates by out-qualifying them on about the 50-50 average if you count the early seasons where he was still a rookie, was still green, and still was learning the ropes. And yes, Verstappen is a prodigy of his generation. We will all agree that he is an extremely good driver. But even considering that, if you look at the other pairs that are extremely, extremely good, I'm thinking about Hamilton and Bottas at Mercedes, and Leclerc and Vettel at Ferrari. Bottas does manage to out-qualify and outscore Lewis Hamilton at Mercedes, not at every races, but on a regular basis. He is being a good second driver that can be close to Lewis Hamilton, to his teammate, and that, if the need arises, can act as a good driver in terms of strategy. Sebastian Vettel and Leclerc. Well, Vettel is not having a great season, but still, at the beginning of the season and last year, those two were fighting together. They were able to out-qualify each other, outperform each other, push each other in the arse to bring the best out of one another. And this is something that Albon and even Gasly last year were not able to do with Max Verstappen as teammate. Is Verstappen too good? Is the car too much built around Max Verstappen? It's a question that we will not know unless we bring back Pierre Gasly or Daniel Kvyat, though I don't think he's considered at this point, or someone else like Sergio Perez, who has proven that he can be a quick driver, underrated, and that he can make the best out of a car that does not suit him. And his experience above all else. So my verdict is that Perez should be going at Red Bull. He's going to bring money. He's probably not a driver that is asking too much money. We know that Nico Hülkenberg usually asks a lot, which could be a deal breaker too. And as for Alex Albon, well, they said that they want to lift his morale up next weekend in Turkey after this very, very disappointing race in Imola. But I think now is really the last chance. If you still got a last chance. Last year, Gasly was dropped after being lapped by Verstappen in Austria, and this year in Portugal, Albon got lapped by Verstappen. So, is it already too late? I don't know, but for sure, now is the time for Albon to deliver. Pressure is tough, but if you want to be a great Formula One driver, you have to be able to cope with pressure, to adapt to a car that does not suit you. And if you can't, well, you will bite the dust. That's sad, but it is the truth. So my prediction, Perez at Red Bull for 2021, Hülkenberg and Albon out of a drive. Sadly, even though I think I'd like to see both drivers back next year, but I don't think this will happen. Thank you everyone for watching. Remember to hit the like button, to subscribe. Who do you think will be Verstappen's teammate for next year? Leave a comment, tell me, and start a discussion. It's always super cool, and I will see you pretty soon for the Turkish Grand Prix at Istanbul Park. Thank you everyone for watching once again, and see you next time.